Treasurer, to our clerk in her absence, to our city attorney, chief of staff, administrative staff here in the audience. Today is Monday, February 9th, 2026. This is the City of Romulus City Council Special Meeting Study Session. This meeting is to discuss the master plan update, future land use map amendments. At this time, we'll have roll call. Councilwoman Abdo. Here. Councilman Bullock. Here. Councilman Jones. Here. Councilwoman Roscoe.
Here.
Councilwoman Talley.
Here.
Councilman Wadsworth.
Is excused.
So noted. And Councilman Wilhite.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum for tonight's special meeting.
Thank you.
Tonight's special meeting agenda is as follows. Number 1, roll call. 2, agenda. 3 is discussion. Master plan update, future land use map amendments. Number 4 is public comment. And number 5 is adjournment. A motion will be in order to accept tonight's special meeting agenda as presented.
Support.
Been motion by Ms. Abdo, seconded by Ms. Roscoe for the approval of the special meeting agenda as submitted. Ms. Abdo? Yes. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wilhite?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, City Council. We are now in discussion. To lead off our discussion is John Enos from Carlisle Workman Associates.
Am I set for this? Oh, good. Hey, good evening, council members. Nice to see you again. I was telling the mayor pro tem, Super Bowl last night means spring is just right around the corner, right? Baseball in spring. So
Right.
that's pretty awesome compared to the winter we've had. So tonight, where you were talking about the master plan, I've been before you before, and certainly before the Planning Commission over the last several months, worked closely with your staff and the Planning Commission to update your master plan. And just kind of a brief overview of the process. The Michigan Planning Enabling Act requires that we take a look at our master plan or comprehensive plan or every 5 years. And what that means is that you don't have to do a major overhaul, which we haven't done, but you are required to look at it, and Planning Commission and Council is required to approve it, to move it forward. Planning Commission worked hard on the changing of some of the land use categories. We took a lot of your documents that were out there, existing plans, existing strategic plans, the E-Course Road study, and kind of boiled those down and made some of the changes on the future land use plan. The master plan is a guide, and I know I may be redundant with you, but just a kind of a reminder that municipalities in Michigan have 2 main documents that guide their land use decision-making and help your staff move these forward. The first is this master plan, which is kind of a broad brush stroke of what you want Romulus to be and to look like. It takes into account a lot of different surveys. It takes into account a lot of comments from your residents. It boils down the number of plans that you've already done and focus groups that you've already done to help you make decisions, help staff make decisions. But then also when you look to a rezoning, which is what you can do on your property now. So someone comes and talks to Carol about, hey, what can I do on my property right now? She's going to look at that zoning map. If someone comes in and says, hey, I'm thinking of putting this use on here, even though it doesn't meet the zoning, what do I do? One of the tools that she would use, or Jeff would use, would be that master plan and say, hey, we've looked at the plan which talks about increased needs for neighborhoods or parkland or industrial or residential or commercial, and where we want those, and how do we implement that? And so we use this master plan as one of the tools, the decision-making tools when we're looking at a rezoning or we're looking at land use developments and site plans and special uses as well. And so it's an important document. It's not a document that you want to kind of put on the shelf because it is a legal document. You should take a look at it on a yearly basis, and it helps you make these decisions from a land use standpoint. So based on the existing master plan that you've had, which is a very good document, by the way, very specific in regard to goals and objectives and what Romulus wants to be and what it is right now, tying in the need for middle-income housing and additional housing, commercial uses along some of the main corridors, the relationship that we have with the airport, all of these different things are in this master plan. But I want to go over the main plan, not so much changes, but just clarifications that are in this document. And I'm going to use these maps that are part of the future land use plan. The first is a public parcel consideration. In talking with administration and the planning commission, we wanted to be more clear on changing some of our land uses in the city, in the future land use map, to what they actually are. And so we've changed things, for example, metro parks, we're making a change from public parks to recreation and open space. If we look at a lot of our fire stations or the tot lots or the St. John's Lodge Park, we're changing those from public to public open space and resource, because public is more, well, if we have a fire station or police station or city hall, that's clearly public. But what we wanted to do was incorporate this first map to show you, hey, what is, if I'm looking at a city of Romulus map, what are the main changes? And if I look at the green spaces, where are those parks, where are those recreation areas, and where are those open spaces? So it really just clarified within the city things from public, as in, like I said, city hall or police station, and parks, to make it more clear. And so that's that first map that you can see. There's 14 kind of changes. The animal shelter is going to be remaining office research for some reason. The fire station, that's going to go from public to multifamily. The next map that I'm going to show you talks about changing some of our schools that may be closed, or some of our other public areas, to kind of make those more similar. The future land use, again, that's the big difference here. We're not really changing the use on that property. We're changing the ability if someone were to want to develop it on that property. And they would still have to go through that detailed process with planning commission, a public hearing, public notice, notification of neighbors. They'd make an advisory recommendation up to city council. So any questions on this public parcel consideration map, council members?
Ms. Hathaway?
Why are we changing fire station?
Turn your mic on.
Okay. Why are we changing the fire station headquarters from public to multifamily residential?
No, no,
And that is number
13.
There's more, the surrounding area is more consistent with multifamily. And so that area around there is more related to the existing multifamily area there. If you can see, you've got most of the multifamily area to the east and west of that.
That doesn't make sense to me, I'm sorry.
What's that? Right here.
Changing the fire station, I know,
Yeah, because this is on subdivision and this is on
I know.
subdivision.
but a fire station is not,
It's part of the business.
it's not residential.
And I'm glad Carol's here because she can answer some of these questions that I can't.
Good evening, council. Similar to what we did with the fire station down North Line, it's now being leased out to another entity. If the city, say something happened that a new fire station, might be being built someplace else, this would free up this property if the city wanted to sell it, lease it, do something
Okay, that
different.
makes
with it.
sense to
Make
me
it more
now.
consistent with the surrounding land use rather than this little tiny piece of public. So what we
Okay.
tried to do is take, as Mr. Enos noted, anything that was public that is indeed parks and recreation and open space. We kind of changed one level of green to distinguish that versus these properties that could have future uses. I'll probably mention it on the next piece where it's the schools. As you know, many of the schools are right now being looked at for sale, and this way, by giving them that land use designation that's consistent with the surrounding area, helps with, helps them market when they are selling or leasing or whatever they're doing, versus having it designated as public.
It doesn't jump out as public, which can sometimes scare away a developer. If they see that it's planned for residential, that gives them a comfort level to say, hey, maybe I put an option on this property and come to the city and see if I can develop it residential.
It's a little more specific.
Yes.
Okay. So, because when you talk about the school, what does rural residential mean? I'm sorry, what does that mean? With rural, okay, like bigger, okay,
Just single family, yep,
okay, gotcha.
yep, just a designation.
Yeah, a lot of the plans that I reviewed and that we reviewed talked about Romulus, even though we're on this main corridor and we've got the airport, to try to, we still want to maintain a rural character in specific areas in the city. And that's one of the areas there, the lighter yellow.
Okay. Anybody else have questions on this piece we're in right now, the map one? Okay, thanks, John.
Very good, thanks, Carol. I may ask for you to jump in again, too. Map 2, with the land use parcels, the schools, as Carol indicated, this was a pretty straightforward change.
Right there.
Right there. I'm gonna go back here.
There you go.
There we go. As Carol indicated, we do have a number of schools in the city that the school district is currently looking for other options or alternatives for those uses. What we did and what we decided in regards to the planning commission and staff is that rather than have kind of a spot zone in that area as considered public, even though it still is public, we wanted to give the ability and the potential for future development or future developers who would purchase from the school district, the ability to say, hey, we're okay with similar uses around here. We wouldn't want you to take this use and plop a multifamily development in the middle of a residential district. But we wanted to change those uses of future land uses, again, which would require rezoning for the type of uses that fit around the existing areas.
So they would have to be rezoned for this future use, and what's that process?
Many are already zoned that.
Huh?
Many are already zoned.
Zoned.
Okay,
Residential.
For that. And that's some of the problem we were having with this. The public is kind of more of an ownership
Mhm.
designation as opposed to what the land use might really be.
okay,
For example, we just got done with Buck Soil, how do you say it? Haytide School.
Mhm, mhm.
That was school property sold to a private business.
Mhm.
School obviously torn down and
Yeah.
property redeveloped. Had we left that, at one time, that was a public designation. And all it did was signify ownership, but, the ownership has changed. The school
Okay.
sold it, so let's get it consistent with the area that it's in.
okay,
So that's all this is doing.
And for
gotcha.
those that aren't zoned, or as you asked, Mayor Pro Tem, would be that even though it's a school district process, if the school's gonna sell it to a private entity, they still would have to go through the rezoning process, which would be planning commission, public hearing, and then up to council for a final decision.
Okay, so we're going through this master plan process, and we're talking about making these changes on, that's still a whole nother process in itself. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
This is different than zoning.
Because you may
Okay.
take a look at some of these maps and say, well, I don't know if that works because of, for whatever reason, but if we're looking long-term and we get the right development,
Yeah,
then that gives you, as a council, the ultimate body of decisions, a comfort level of saying, yeah, that makes sense, we'll allow this rezoning.
okay,
And it's more, guys, than just the future land. The future land use map is important, don't get me wrong. But it's a guide, right? And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of other things in a master plan, goals and objectives and policies that say it doesn't specifically fit this future land use map, but it fits this whole line of goals and objectives that the city wants to be or need or want. You can use that, you can also use those as as a decision-making tool for ultimately the rezoning. Then, of course, once you get the rezoning, then it goes to the next step, which would be a site plan or a special land use for another public hearing if it's a special land use.
gotcha, okay.
So kind of the first toe in the water, right, for a decision where ultimately those zoning, site plans, and special land uses come to the city for a decision.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay. The third map, which does make some changes, council, to some of the areas based on some of the things that have already occurred over the last 5 years, And again, taking into consideration some of the more important studies, our Vision Romulus, the E-Course Road Study, our LDFA, our TIFA, our DDA, all of those documents are important tools in the planning toolbox. And so these were some of the areas, some of the opportunity areas based on those plans that are being considered as future land use changes. Some are based on, excuse me, some are based on some current uses that have already been approved. For example, the Super Y on number 5 there at the corner of E-Course and Middle Belt, that rezoning has occurred, so we wanted to make that change. Some of the areas where we've got the number 2, where you've got the hash green areas, and we've got the Ash Capital area over there. That's a conservation area, but again, we wanted to consider the surrounding land uses and the potential for some additional more dense residential. As you'll see at E-Course number 3, on the north side of E-Course, what we're considering the tower property to make that more regional business. I think an important consideration, especially in regards to your questions, Mayor Pro Tem, is that as I've become more and more comfortable with helping you out over the years now, is that while it may say this red is regional commercial, some of the things that I've heard, if it is rezoned, some of those things that would be part of that rezoning or part of a text amendment would be things such as, okay, we wouldn't allow access to Beverly. There'd be no access to Beverly if something were to be developed there. Some of these things will require some text amendments and some changes in our zoning ordinance, but those are the kinds of things that we would consider, and also make it, if we're using number 3, as a special land use, or sometimes they call it a conditional land use. That's a public hearing, and it's a public notice, and that's a lot more strict a process than just a straight site plan. There's certain parameters you have to meet to get a conditional land use, because it may have some issues with traffic, or if it's a drive-through restaurant, it may have issues with a pub PA or the adjacent residential, so we can add some hours of operation, those kinds of things. So those are the main 5 or 6 opportunity areas that we've proposed in the future land use, with the understanding that, and Carol gets this too, is that there are going to be some text amendments required to make some changes in our zoning to make these things work as well.
That'll be a part of that process when it
Yes.
goes? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you'd see those text amendments once they're drafted and put through the mill.
Thank you. Any questions on this piece, anybody?
Planning Commission was, I believe, pleased with this. They unanimously approved this. We did send this to our surrounding communities. By law, we have to. There were no negative comments on that. There were a couple of positive comments on the bubble, kind of the bubble maps. And I thank Carol and Jeff for kind of guiding me through that and creating these maps. I mean, I don't know how to make these maps, honestly. I just tell somebody in my office what we're kind of thinking, what to do. But it really kind of jumps out at you, and it's easier to understand, I think, for the lay person or a resident who's interested in the property.
Okay. So let me ask you a couple quick, because it looks like extensive conversation with our planning commission. You tell the planning commission they the bomb, because they scope out and dig out a lot of stuff that you wouldn't even think of. They are just amazing to me. One of our commissioners voted no on to adopt the future land use map amendment as the master plan that's submitted. Carol, do you know why that commissioner voted no?
I do believe I do. She lives up in the Gateway area, so
Right.
I'm familiar with that area, and was a little bit concerned about the extension of the
Okay.
regional business, Vining Road overlay going up that high. And as Mr. Enos pointed out, one of the biggest concerns was the access off of Beverly Road. So,
Yeah.
while we could put provisions on that once we do get to the text
Get that,
language, at this point, as part of the master plan map amendment, we really couldn't do that. It's such it's little in terms of a map. It's big in terms of a condition that translates from the zoning ordinance text amendment.
Okay.
So,
Okay. And then there was a lot of discussion on data centers, a lot of discussion on that. Can we elaborate just a little bit, please, because it was very interesting dialogue?
I'm gonna have some PTSD here, because I represent Saline Township too. so
Okay.
You know what's going on down there. So, one thing that, the conversation was, yes, it was on data centers, because they are being proposed all over. In fact, Huron Township is doing a workshop in March for data centers. They don't have anything proposed, but it's more of an education issue. Many, if not all, my current clients are updating their ordinance right now, and I've been talking with Carol and Jeff about that, to include those uses in the community. We can't, as a municipality, as Saline Township will tell you, we can't be exclusionary. We can't say, we have to allow every use. As much as we might not like adult uses or other uses, we can't be exclusionary. We can't say we don't want, well, we can do that for recreational marijuana, but we have to allow these uses in our community, but we can protect ourselves with strict language. Now, a lot of ordinances have language in their current zoning ordinance that say things like data centers or computer centers. That language was never envisioned to cover something to the size and extent of a data center.
Okay.
So I think that most communities are looking to beef up their language. I don't know what your feelings are on the use itself. I'm still torn, quite honestly, in regards to the benefits versus because there's the benefits versus the potential issues. And I say that really importantly, potential issues, because a lot of them maybe they're still looking. So there was discussion at the planning commission level. I think Romulus would be wise to take a look at updating or taking a look at some zoning and adding some language. You know, you look at, and I guess I'm going off task here a little bit, but Saline Township, just down the road. Now, you see how inflammatory and how difficult it is right now, and I get it, and I understand all of that, but, you know, that township is going to be gaining $17 million in tax revenue from that use as part of that decision. It was a lawsuit. So those are the kinds of things that if the use were permitted in Romulus, and all of us did our job in regards to regulating and setbacks and water and lighting, electricity, and building facades, it may end up being a potential good use. So that's kind of right. You know, a lot of the communities are out there scrambling now to make that decision.
Yeah, because my thing would be, even though it's 17, what's the cost of that? I mean, because people are up in arms about it. So, you know, 17 million, but what, you know, why they fighting it?
Well, I think because it's the unknown so
Okay.
far, right? It's an issue with, and that's a way different community than Rhinebeck. I mean, that's a farming community.
Yeah.
So to plop an industrial use out there, I get that too. But these uses are in existence, and that's why they need large tracts of land. That's why they have large buildings. One of the concerns has been the need for water. Well, Saline Township, and I think technology's changing, they're going to recycle the water. So they're not bringing in a 30-inch water line. There's tools that you can add to protect the community through the electric issues with DTE. So it's so early in these giant data centers, because there's a lot of data centers around the Detroit area that we don't even know about. Right. And they kind of operating. They're not causing any problems. They're not noisy. You know, they're not polluting the water. A lot of these things where you Google search, tell me bad things about data centers. You know, a million things are going to come out. So that's where we stand. But I think every community needs to take a look at it. I don't know how long this ride's going to be, how many they need, but Ipsy Township, they're dealing with the University of Michigan one as well.
Okay, because like I said, it was a lot of dialogue in here, and it was some great recommendations in here as well from the Planning Commission. I would love for us to be more proactive in this as opposed to waiting till it's upon us, because I ain't trying to be funny. At the Dr. King celebration, it was talked about there, and that was back in January. It was a conversation came up, just like we're dealing with this stuff around here about ICE. The stuff is coming up. So when I start hearing rumors, even if it's a rumor or not, I just think we need to be proactive on it, wait till not get in our lap, and then we start trying to address it. And they had some very good comments in here from our planning commission that I think we need to start adhering to. That's just me.
Through the chair. So
Mayor.
we've already got a meeting scheduled as a workshop for the
Okay.
planning commission and city council to talk about data centers.
Okay.
The pros and the cons, to get educated before they come knocking on our door.
Okay.
Part of what you're seeing, and John, you could probably collaborate this, you're seeing the pushback on the giant sites.
Yeah.
We don't have the property to attract one of those giants like they do in Saline and Van Buren, unless we went to the regional center. We're never gonna allow that there.
Okay.
So they are permitted here, but they're all different sizes. Southgate has 8 of them operating already, and they're not a problem. They just approved another one. So they're all different shapes and sizes.
Okay.
I think you're right. In a lot of the rural areas, people moved out there to be rural, and they
Yeah.
want to keep it. So everybody gets up in arms when they say, we're not bringing that here, because now we have this issue that it's an unknown quantity. But that's why we scheduled the meeting. So March
No, we-
16th.
March 16th.
Yeah, we're bringing in, individual parties, it's gonna say pros and cons and answer questions, so we're all educated before they do come.
Oh,
But I
cool
don't think that
beans.
we're gonna get approached for one of these giant sites, because we don't have the continuous acres that they need to make
We
those
said that
sites.
about this site.
No, I never said that about
Oh,
it.
no, I'm just saying, we just don't know. We just don't know. And that's all, yeah.
It's always good to be prepared, right?
Yeah,
And-
that's
and
it,
the language is
yeah.
out there, we're not, I wouldn't expect to be reinventing the wheel. If you do add like text language, it's out there.
Okay.
We've written it for a bunch of communities. It's just it's a crazy thing out there now. Augusta Township, just down the road a piece, their board unanimously approved it, but their residents went out for a referendum, so now it's gonna be voted on.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So that's, and again, folks, this is something I think it's important that this document is a tool that you use, Planning Commission uses, Carol, Jeff, me, as we do reviews for you. And it's also something that could be revisited and should be revisited every year. The plan has some implementation schedules, and I think that, I don't know how often the city has a joint meeting with Planning Commission. I think you're pretty progressive and you're pretty regular in doing that, but once a year to have a joint meeting to say, hey, where are we with some of these goals and objectives? I appreciate Romulus in regards to, the plans. I brought out my vision and my E-course road. This is a cool document in regards to E-course road and what should be done along that route in terms of widening it, sidewalks, view sheds, those kinds of things, and the mixed use along it. So you spent a good amount of money on this, I believe, and you can, you should be moving some, we can talk about that, but many of them, I think you can make that a cool corridor that it can become.
No, thank you, John, appreciate it. Did anybody have some follow-up questions or final questions? Yeah. Okay, no, John, I think we're good. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
I'm sorry, Jeff just reminded me, I'm like, I thought for sure there were 4 maps, I know there weren't.
Oh, okay.
The only one, and this is a pretty straightforward one, guys.
Okay.
It's the
Oh,
downtown
you did say
map.
that.
It takes a lot of our uses downtown and clarifies them as downtown uses. We've got a mixture of uses in our downtown. What happened there? What'd you do?
What
Jeff?
happened to that?
What did you do?
We've got it in front of us.
Yeah,
But we did change some of the uses to remain downtown and changes to some of Parks and Rec. We've got kind of zoomed in on there, you can't look at it there, but our downtown is our main mixed-use area. So we wanted to clarify some of the uses that probably wouldn't change. But if we designate some areas as downtown, again, saying downtown, that gives us a lot of flexibility. If we get the right use, that's the beauty of kind of this mixed-use designation, that you're in the driver's seat to say, well, I like the idea of the office and commercial on the bottom floor with maybe 2 stories of residential. That ties into that and those kinds of uses.
Now, it says police department headquarters remain downtown. I'm confused. Is this the one, the potentially new one?
No, this is the existing one.
So what does that mean?
That's what the zone's already, and
Uh-huh.
when future land use map applies, and it's just gonna remain.
Is it gonna stay like that?
It'll stay that.
So downtown is a mixed use, commercial and residential.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to designating ownership.
Okay,
So
okay.
instead of designating as public, because it might not be public.
Gotcha. And so animal shelter remains office research?
Same thing.
Okay.
If say somebody donated a chunk of property for a giant, brand new animal shelter, wow, what are you gonna do with this? And then it gives it that designation.
Gotcha.
As opposed to, again, ownership.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yep, Ms. Abdo?
Perhaps I should know this, but I don't. I'm looking at Romulus Athletic Center, both, and the Opportunity Park, both from light industrial to PROS. What's PROS?
Park recreation and open space.
Okay, gotcha. I understand now. Thanks.
PROS.
Okay, I don't feel so bad now.
They actually went the other way. You know, being that that building was an industrial, a privately owned industrial.
Oh, it's fine, I just couldn't remember the acronym. Thank you.
No, that's a good one to, you know, as an example of.
Okay. All right, I think we're done. You done?
I'm done. I'm good. Maybe I'll see you next time, the same year, and be saying, okay, what have you done in New Hampshire? What have you done in it? So.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Right. With no more discussion from council, that brings us to number 4, public comment. This is the portion of the agenda for those in the audience who would like to address the city council regarding tonight's special meeting agenda. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Any additional time will be upon the consent of the chair.
Anybody want to speak from the audience? I think we are clear, Dejan.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Number 5 is adjournment. The time is 7:03.
So moved to adjourn.
I'll support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, seconded by Ms. Abdo to adjourn this special meeting. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Wilhite?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Record
Regular-
meeting 7.